So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream, impromptu Sunday. I'm working in Daydreams colour book by Hanna Karlzon, and I'm not very good with these Graphink pens from Derwent, and I had a bit of a disaster when I was colouring earlier, and I had a blob. So there was a lot of the blue came out. I kind of blobbed it, I think that's what they call it. So I decided not to waste it. I put most of it in here, and then I actually touched the pen top with the brush and kept touching the pen top and kind of using it as a supply of ink. And then so I've got these dark areas where I've touched the pen, and so I managed to use all the spilt extra watercolour. And I did this page, and I like the fact that and there is watercolour on everything, there is a colour from deep dark to pale apart from the background, and I love the fact that from a disaster and a mistake I then decided to do a monochrome, which is a one colour, and I really liked it. I thought it worked quite well. So I'm not afraid anymore of these, but I've decided that I'm going to blot a little bit of colour in and use it as a watercolour. So this would have been a nice one, but I've just seen there's a cockerel here. So I'll zoom in, and I haven't got a proper light on today, so bear with me. And I'm still on the lounge, and Alfie's been a naughty boy as per usual. So just make sure that we are in focus. I'll just knock that off. I don't think it does anything really. And I'll move the camera very slightly. I've got to be careful with that because it is like an ink, and so all I'm going to be doing, make sure it's clean underneath, and I should really have a spare piece of paper, but to throw something at the dog. No, that's naughty, Alfie. The minute everybody leaves me, Alfie is so naughty. I'll use this because it's a drawing and I don't use them. So they seem to be almost like an ink. So I'm going to pop that there. Actually, I'll put it there, see if that breaks the colour up anymore. I don't think it's going to do that. So I don't want much. I think we'll just take this round. There isn't a video I own that doesn't have Alfie barking his socks off. So I just want to kind of just take that further down a little bit. They are really very strong. And I think I'm going to mix these two colours together because that kind of, oops, that's probably too much now. It's the wrong kind of red, I think. So I just thought I'd have a bit of a play. So thanks guys for popping in. This is a live stream. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. minus the dog barking. So I've wanted to play with these Graphink for a while, and I did one colour page and I made so many boo-boos. They've been stuck in a cupboard, and then today I had the idea of buying some inks, and I've given my daughter my inks, my ink set, because she uses them. She's doing illustration and animation at university, so her need was greater than mine, and she was going to buy some more, and I said, oh no, just take mine. But then I thought, I want to paint in inks. I just had a craving to paint with inks because they're a little bit stronger than watercolours. And then of course I remembered that I had these in the cupboard. So there's a russet brown. I don't know what this one's called. It's number 15. Oh, it's Brick Lane, so that'll be Ready Brick. And that's definitely red, so we could put this one. And I've not done this before, so I know you're not supposed to use them like this. Now, if you kind of push down, you get a flood, and I don't want a flood, so I'm just going to tap. And I've kept the nib kind of clean on that one. I've messed up the blue one. And it was in the lid, but I actually used it all. So I just kept touching this part here, and then I actually ended up cleaning the lid as well. So I've managed to use quite a lot of that. So let me just have a bit of a look. I think if I can get a bit of this blue to activate. Now, being an ink, it probably, I don't think it comes back. But I've got a bit of grunge on there, so I got the funny feeling they were water-based. So I think we'll try in there, and then we'll take this pale, and it's very strong, so it's not doing quite as I wanted it to do. I wanted a nice transition, but it's okay. If you did it with a rigger, you would get a better way of doing it. It's just that I'm picking up too much colour because it's a wet brush rather than just barely damp. Now, if you don't rub up and down like I did on the other page, you will be fine. I don't even think they will show through, but I think it is a bit of an ink, this, because they are very, very strong. So I just put a couple of dabs down there, but I got quite a lot of colour out. But I do like this way of working because it's quite easy, and it has a watercolour effect, and there's no bubble on that page at all. You can just see where it is behind that flower, but there's nothing. So again, I like that. But if you do rub up and down, it would go through. I just found that little bit there. But see if I can get that bit. So I was quite impressed with that. And then of course we need a baby wipe. So you would get a slightly better effect with a rigger. But again, I love the fact that that's all I've wasted, a dot. So I need a yellow for the beak, and there is a yellow. So this is number 1. But as I say, I'm not pushing it down. You're supposed to activate it by tapping it down, and I'm not doing that. I'm just going to tap a few times Oops. Oh gosh, I got a blob. You see, you get a blob. And it doesn't stop. It will not stop now. I tend to tap it backwards to hope it stops. So I'm going to touch the end here because I don't want to waste this. So I touch the end and do the beak. And I may as well do the flowers since I've got the pen there, so I'm going to leave that there. So really 2 or 3 taps is all you need, because if any more but they are kind of inky. They're kind of a water ink, so it's quite nice. Again, I'm just touching the end of the brush because I want to pick up everything off there. So I'm not really sure how you're supposed to use these, but it's like lots of other things, you know, I tend to use all kind of professional watercolours for that. So again, I'm just going to touch the end because there's a bit of colour in there. But I haven't done too much damage, so I'm tapping it on its bottom, so hopefully the ink will go back in. But they're very volatile, that's probably a better word. They are extremely volatile. But a tiny little bit is going to go a long way. I just touch the top of that. A tiny little bit is going to go a long way. So I thought I might try, if they dry out and you can use them again. I would think if they dry properly you may not be able to. I haven't tried them yet. Don't know if anybody else has got these. For the last couple of days Alfie has done nothing but bark. He's just been a really bad boy. So again, I've got a really nice soft colour from these really strong colours. Let me just put that back on there and see if it... No, it is an ivory coloured paper, that. So I want some green, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch... Let's see if I can bring some water here. Bring this blue back. I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure if I can bring it back. And then I just want to suck up some yellow. And in theory we're going to have a green, but we are going to have a dull green. Now I've got far too much on my brush. Oh, sorry. So I've managed to pick a bit of that yellow and pop it in with the blue. So it's now given me, it's a bit of a pale dirty green, that, so I'm going to go for this green. I'm just going to, again, I've got to be really careful. I'm just going to tap, and I'm going to tap here. And so I've got a bit of a green going on now. And again, I haven't got the watercolour effect because it's a bit full on. And what's happening is the yellow green that I made is mixing with the new colour. Oops, missed two. And this water brush will just keep on giving a little bit of water, so you get paler and paler and paler. So you can get some quite nice greens on there. And we want some middles. So I've got this tangerine colour, so, or gamboge probably. It's probably more like a gamboge than, so just put that into there. And the other way I like to do this is it's fairly quick. You're not spending 3 days or 5 weeks on one. So just put the middles. Don't look very orangey on there, do they? Let's see if I can just play with the colour a bit. Still trying to get those orange colours. That's a bit too much now. That's probably what they look like. So there is a nice that's a mint green. I'm going to put a little bit of that up there. So little tiny taps. If you push the nib down, it'll flood. You're just activating that to get rid of that yellow on there. So you're just touching the end. You've got some quite vibrant colour there. So it goes a long way, just this colour. So I think they are an ink. I don't know if anybody else has got these. It's one of the things I've used and not actually watched a video how to use them. But I think I'll go back to the Derwent Pencil Company page and look at them, but they do flood, and I think that's why people got a bit annoyed with them. But there is nothing wrong with the colour at all. So literally just scribbling on there, not even tapping now, because I don't want to flood lots of colour. I just want a little bit. I have no idea what's wrong with the dog. He's going through a funny phase. We don't have Suzanne here to tell him off. So again, I think he's been spoilt and he's just so demanding. So I kind of like that. Oh, missed one, there's one there, look. It's easy done. So he's now got some bright colours. Again, I can go back to that orange. And actually dulled it down. I've got like an ochre colour there. And that looks like the background, but I must have missed that one off. So I've got some yellow here, so I don't know what to do with it really. I could kind of mix it with this and kind of make a gamboge colour, so it's very, very strong and full on though. Whoopsie. Must be a bit more orangey than that. So I have dropped water into these, and they run like inks, so I'll be using watercolour paper, I think. I mean, you probably use them as an ordinary pen, but I try to extend everything's life a bit if I can. So again, let's clean the brush. So there was quite a lot of colour on there. So that was the red. I think you might want to have and again just draw a bit out as if you were rubbing, not tapping, because they will just fall out. I like that one. And I'll have a quick look at this one. I do know that you have to tap them, but again, I'm just going to tap. I'm not going to push down because it'll flood out, and I really don't want that. Not for this particular page anyway. So I'll just have a look at that. And it's a bit pinky, is that? So mix a bit of brown with that to make a russet brown, more of a chicken colour. What I should have done is started at the bottom, worked up, and then I would have had a natural highlight, but we're not going for reality here, we're just going for... And then we've got some red to go in there. So you could do this with your water brushes. You could do it with watercolour, you could do it with your water brushes. It's got to be quite strong colour though. It's got to be in your face colour really. And then it works quite well. Just going to go back into this colour because I need to just brown that off a bit. Oh, there's another little dog sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And then we've got the naughty elf. Oh, it's not just a cat behind me. I wonder what he was doing. So, just have a quick... The colours are a bit stronger than they're looking. But not... I've got some quite pale colours. As I say, my light is a bit... I'm going to go and play over there and swap. Because I think the light will be slightly better from over there. Oops, yeah, the colours are better that way. It's just not quite in. He's a bit of a bite cockerel, I'm afraid. He is. And it's all dry, so it's not like using watercolour. So I think we're going to have some purple. So I'm just going to tap on here because this is dried. And again, it's just scribbling. But for goodness sake, don't push down because you'll have a big blob. Now I have sent off for some watercolour pans, some half pans, and I intend to put some of these in there if these kind of don't dry out too much. So I've got quite a strong purple on here, so let's see if we can... Sorry about the shadow, but I'm going to take that to... And you, as I say, if you drop water into these, you get the most wonderful colours. But obviously, we can't do that. So bear with me a second. Bear with me 2 seconds. I shall just put that on. Just made it worse. Sorry guys, I've lost it. I thought it would make it better, but it's made it worse. Could you possibly put that there for me, please, because it's really heavy?
Just 2 seconds. Right,
Where it is there. Thank you. No, over there, please. And then turn it round. See if that just readjusts it. And you should do. That's not so bad. Hopefully that's better. Sorry about that, guys. So, just touching that purple. I haven't got much, but I've only got 3 or 4 of these. Right, so that's the end of the light's a bit iffy now, so thanks for watching.